Hello everyone, my name is Jeff Fields McCormick, and for the first time in entirely too long, welcome back to the channel. Now, in today's video, we are going to be dropping some fantasy football breakdown for one of the most important positions, the quarterback. I'm going to be going over the top 12 players to add to your fantasy football lineup and letting you know who I drafted. My draft video will be coming very soon, but without further ado, let's get out the spiral and take a look at who we've got. So we're going to go from number 12 all the way up to number 1, saving the number 1 surprise for the tail end of the video. But without further ado, at the number 12 spot, I have Cincinnati Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow. Now, Burrow was electric to watch last year. Unfortunately, he did go down with an injury pretty early in the season, but he was great. He had Tyler Boyd there for a little while. He had Joe Mixon for some of those shorter passes. A couple of decent tight ends they can swap around. He got T. Higgins. T. Higgins did amazing in fantasy last year for those of you that drafted him. And then, of course, now with their 5th overall pick, I think it was 5th overall, they took Jamar Chase. Now, Chase has had a little bit of trouble here and there in the preseason with drops, but he did take a year off, so I think once he gets his rhythm, maybe week 2, week 3, we'll start seeing his production pick up, and he might be a good flex option or wide receiver 2 or 3 for some of you guys. But yeah, at the number 12 spot, I have Cincinnati Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow. I expect him to have a really good season. I think he finishes inside the top 12. He easily has QB 8 or QB 9 potential, and because of that injury, you're probably going to get him pretty low in your drafts. All right, number 11. This one might shock some of you guys, but I got Matthew Stafford, the former quarterback of the Detroit Lions. He is now with Sean McVay and the Rams. I absolutely love the value of Matthew Stafford. He's falling in draft boards just because of how high some of these other quarterbacks are. I personally think Matthew Stafford could easily finish at the QB 6 or QB 7 position this year. He's always an amazing player, even on a really rough team like the Lions. You saw how good him and Hall of Famer Calvin Johnson were. Now, I'm not saying the Rams are going to have another Hall of Famer, but they have some great targets down there. You have Cooper Kupp, you have Robert Woods, tight end Tyler Higbee. Matthew Stafford has a lot of really good targets, and I 100% believe that he will finish inside the top 12. I've got him here at QB 11. Don't be surprised if he goes in the top 10. Now, at number 10, this is one that's probably going to surprise some of you guys a little. I have Lamar Jackson. Most draft boards have Lamar Jackson between the QB 2 and the QB 5. I've got him all the way down here at 10. Let me explain why. So first off, Lamar Jackson is very dependent on his rushing ability. He does struggle with some of those deep balls, so that's a bit of a issue when you're looking at a quarterback for fantasy. Rushing upside is amazing. He could absolutely finish top 5, but the majority of his receivers are a little banged up right now, and he's going to have to rely on Mark Andrews quite a bit. Now, Mark Andrews is great, but I don't think that Mark Andrews by himself, with the other guys here and there, is going to be able to get Lamar inside the top 5. I've got him here at QB 10. Now, number 9, I have the GOAT, Tom Brady. Tom Brady has, without a doubt, probably the best receiving core in the NFL. He has 3 wide receiver 1s, in my opinion. Mike Evans. He's got Antonio Brown, and he has Chris Godwin, a guy that I've had in the past. Now, he also has Rob Gronkowski, NFL 100 tight end. He also has Scotty Miller and a couple of other guys here and there. I could easily see Tom Brady finishing as the QB 5, QB 6, but I've got him right here at the QB 9 position. This is definitely a guy to look at, especially if you're in a deeper league, and maybe some of these top 5 or top 10 quarterbacks are gone. If Tom Brady's still sitting there, he's absolutely the player that you need to consider adding to your fantasy lineup. All right, now, coming in here at the quarterback 8 on my list, I have Tennessee Titans quarterback Ryan Tannehill. Now, Ryan Tannehill has always been a great quarterback, at least the last couple of years. He got away from Adam Gase, went to Tennessee, and started balling out. You saw last year, Corey Davis had some pretty solid fantasy stats. A.J. Brown, I think, was top 15, top 20 wide receivers. So they both put up good stats with him. Tannehill, week to week, could have won you games if you were on those really close games where you're 5 or 10 points away from the other guy. You throw in Tannehill, he balls out, gets you 25, 30 points, easily jumps you over that next guy. And I think he takes a big leap with Julio Jones, who just signed there. He left the Falcons after about a decade of amazing work. I absolutely think Julio's a Hall of Famer. I think he's going to go first ballot, probably one of the best guys of our generation. And you add that kind of talent to a lineup that's already got A.J. Brown, and you put those guys side by side with Derrick Henry in the backfield, so they've got to cover the run. And you have two great receivers running routes. I mean, you're set for success. I right now have Tannehill at the QB8, but I could see him finishing as high as QB4. I could see him going that high, maybe even QB3, depending on how some of these other guys perform. But if maybe these top 5 or top 10 quarterbacks are gone, but Tannehill is still there, absolutely hit the draft button on Ryan Tannehill. I think that for the value, he's one of the best quarterbacks out there. The best quarterback for value, I think, is Matthew Stafford, because people still associate him with the Lions. But if Tannehill's still out there, you have to go for Ryan Tannehill. I've got him at QB8, but could honestly expect him to hit QB5 to QB6 range. And I would say his floor is about QB15. Now, coming up here at number 7, we have the Chargers quarterback, Justin Herbert, the superstar quarterback that electrified the NFL last year. Now, Herbert was amazing for the Chargers. I had him the second half of the season, did a couple of trades to get him. He did amazing. This guy ended up winning me a fantasy football championship last year. Woot woot. So, hoping to see him do great again. Last year I had him and Austin Eckler. That was a deadly combination and definitely was worth it. Now, I would recommend getting him maybe even before some of these top 6 quarterbacks, because Herbert's got an incredible ceiling. He's got Keenan Allen, one of the best receivers in the game. He's got Austin Eckler, which out of the backfield is an absolute monster. Those two right there plus Herbert, and he's also got Jared Cook, which might add some shorter, catches here and there, add a little bit more production. But between Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler, both of which could finish in the top 5 at their position, Herbert has an amazing outlook for the 21-22 season. Now, coming up at the number 6, I have Seattle Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson. Now, Russell Wilson could have easily finished as the MVP last year based on the first half of the season, but we did see his production slow down quite a bit in the second half. Not too sure what happened there. Some were saying the O-line played poorly. Some were saying Wilson lost his touch. Not too sure what happened there, but with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, and then Chris Carson out of the backfield too, there is plenty of opportunity for Russell Wilson to creep into the top 5. I've got him right now as the QB6. All right, now we are into the top 5. At quarterback 5, I have the reigning MVP out of Green Bay. That is Aaron Rodgers. Now, Aaron Rodgers, I think, is going to be on a little bit of a revenge tour. He wants to prove that he's still got it. He wants to prove that he needs a better contract. He wants to prove he's the man in Green Bay. He's got Devontae Adams, who is, by all accounts, the wide receiver 1 in the NFL right now. He's got Robert Tonyan, a guy that could easily be a top 5 tight end. He's got Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who's done amazing. He's got Allen Lazard, who I had on my fantasy team off and on last year. Put up some pretty solid stats. He's got Aaron Jones out of the backfield, who is amazing. I had him on fantasy last year. Aaron Jones is probably the anchor to my team all the way through the season. Lots of catches, lots of rushes. So Aaron Rodgers is on an absolutely stacked team and could, without a doubt, finish as a top 3 quarterback. Right now, I have him at the QB5. Coming up here at the quarterback 4, I have Arizona Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray. Now, Kyler Murray had an incredible fantasy season last year, and I think he's going to build off of that this year. Not a whole lot changed with wide receivers with him. He still has DeAndre Hopkins. We don't know what's going to happen with Larry Legend, Larry Fitzgerald, a guaranteed Hall of Famer when he retires. They did add A.J. Green in the offseason, so he'll get a few catches here and there. You've still got Chase Edmonds. They did lose James Conner. The Steelers picked him up, so that might change the dump-off passes a little bit, but I think the majority of the workload is still going to go to DeAndre Hopkins, who should finish as the receiver 2 to receiver 4 overall. Now, the top 3. At quarterback 3, I have Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott. I know I might have Dak a little higher than some people, but let me explain. Through the first 3 games before he got injured, he was on a legendary trajectory. This guy was expected to break all kinds of records. He was putting up insane stats, and then he got injured. I'm actually going to pull up on the fantasy app, see how good he was. Now, Dak Prescott, I absolutely think could finish as the QB2. He might top Josh Allen. I don't know. That remains to be seen. He has some incredible potential. CeeDee Lamb, already a great player, is going to take a huge step this year. Amari Cooper, a great receiver, is probably going to take another step this year. And then you have Michael Gallup, a great receiver for that receiver 3, maybe a flex position. Still a very good player. And like I said, before Dak got injured, he was putting up incredible stats. I live in East Texas, so obviously he was all over the news, all over the games that we were watching, and we were legitimately expecting him to break some records. Now, of course, he got injured before he could do that, but in the time that he was healthy, his stats were ridiculous. The fact remains that this guy was on a great trajectory. As of a couple of days ago, he was cleared for the season opener, which means that he is fully back from that horrible injury against the Giants last year. And this is the guy that I drafted as my quarterback. All right, let's take a look at his stats from last year. So through the first 3 games, like I said, he was incredible. 17.64 against the Rams, which is kind of meh. But then check out these next 3 games. Against Atlanta, 41.8. Against Seattle, one of the better defenses, 32.4. And then he balled out against Cleveland, 40.2. Now, against the Giants, he only put up 13.4, but you have to remember, he got injured against the Giants. So, you know, he could have easily finished as the quarterback 1 or quarterback 2 last season if it hadn't been for that injury that wiped out the rest of his season, which is, you know, rough to see for sure. And that shook up a lot of fantasy rosters. That took the value of CeeDee Lamb and threw it out for the most part. Amari Cooper's stats went way, way downhill. And we're hoping that doesn't happen this year. I have him here at the QB3. I could see him go to QB2. He could fall as far as QB8 or 9. I would say that QB2 to QB9 is sort of his floor and ceiling so long as he doesn't get injured. I just noticed that I've got a little bit of hair sticking up here. My apologies. Thought I got all that slicked down, but oh well, we got a little bit hanging out. That's okay. So coming up here at the QB2, I have Bills quarterback Josh Allen. Now, Josh Allen was amazing last year. You saw Stephon Diggs take a huge jump, and I absolutely think that Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs are going to be one of the best duos in the league this year. I have him here at QB2. I don't know if he could unseat Patrick Mahomes at that number 1 spot, but I could definitely see Josh Allen finishing between maybe 3 and 5. I've got him right here at QB2. If you draft Josh Allen, you should be pretty happy with your pick and pretty confident that he's going to finish inside the top 5. And the final one is, of course, Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes. I got Mahomes at number 1. I don't see him falling anywhere below top 5. He might finish at 2 or 3 depending on how good Josh Allen and Dak Prescott are. But if you draft Patrick Mahomes, you're going to have to burn a 1st or 2nd round pick most likely. Personally, I don't think I would draft a quarterback that high. Running back is very important. But if you want the QB1 in the NFL, Patrick Mahomes is exactly where to go. The guy in my fantasy draft took him in the 3rd round. So that might be a good place to take Mahomes. I personally don't like taking a quarterback inside the top 4 rounds just because I like to go running back, and then turn around and go wide receiver, to get those skill positions set. But if Mahomes is available that late, you might have to go for him. Now, Patrick Mahomes obviously is the best quarterback in the league, at least from a statistical standpoint. He's amazing. He's got Tyreek Hill, which is a top 5 wide receiver. He's got McCole Hardman, which is an okay flex from time to time. So that is kind of an interesting play there. He's got other weapons. Obviously, he has Travis Kelce, the best tight end in the NFL. So that's something to consider too. He's got 2 top 5 players in their position. And he's just an amazing playmaker himself. He's got CEH, which might be able to do some work out of the backfield. But all things considered, I think Patrick Mahomes finishes as the QB1. We'll have to see what happens. He's absolutely one of the best athletes in the NFL, and without a doubt is on a Hall of Fame trajectory. I'm not saying he's a Hall of Famer just yet, but at the rate he's going, he will certainly end up in Canton if he keeps going. But yeah, that is my top 12 quarterback predictions for the 2021 fantasy football season. Please let me know down in the comments. What do you guys think of this? Is there any ranks that you might switch around? Am I too low on Lamar? Am I too high on Dak Prescott? Let me know what you think down below. Also, tell me in the comments, were you able to draft any of the top 12 quarterbacks in fantasy football? Let me know. Maybe you guys snuck in Trevor Lawrence into your top 12. Maybe you guys have Trey Lance at that 13 to 14 position. Let me know what you think, and as always, there will be more videos, don't worry. I'm finally getting back in an upload rhythm. I'm going to be dropping fantasy football videos here and there. Might even drop a couple of Madden videos, depending on my schedule, but we'll see what happens. If not, we'll have at least 1 or 2 fantasy football videos here and there just to keep you guys up to date on who to start, who to sit, who to draft, and who to drop in fantasy football. But without further ado, I am going to go ahead and wrap this video up. Before we leave, if you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up down below to let me know. I don't drop fantasy football videos very often, but if you guys like this style of video, let me know, and I will make sure to drop them more frequently. I love fantasy football and actually won the championship last year. I have a Lombardi trophy over there that will eventually make it into the background once I get the room rearranged. So if you want to see how to win a championship and see my thoughts on some of the league's best and worst fantasy players, make sure to let me know. Give it a thumbs up, and of course, if you're new, subscribe. But without further ado, I am going to go ahead and wrap this video up. Thank you all so much for sticking around and for consistently commenting and stuff, checking in, seeing where I'm at. I promise more videos are coming soon. I love getting to upload. I love getting to talk to you guys. So thank you all so much for watching. And as always, I will see you in the next fantasy football video.